Married at First Sight Mzansi on Showmax is 5 episodes in as when I make this video. And listen, things are real, okay? The couples are no longer in the honeymoon phase. They have moved into their couples apartments. They are resuming their normal activities. I know that a couple of them are back at work, going to work in the morning, coming back in the afternoon. They really are living their lives like they are married couples. And as such, issues of intimacy have been coming up, and half of these couples, in terms of intimacy, everything seems to be hundreds, and the other half of the other half, I'm not sure, and half of the other half, it's a mess. Okay, let me start with the half where everything is good. Okay, Desanelo and Kuto, Boitsepo and Sebenzile are the couples where everything seems to be going well. Like, these two couples are acting like they have known each other for a very long time, acting like they have been in this arrangement for a very long time. They all seem to get along, get each other, love on each other, understand where they're going with this. They easily communicate with one another. The relationships itself, when you look at their living dynamics, it seems to flow in terms of who does what and when. Just to drive home that point, I haven't seen or heard these two couples fight about chores, like, oh, you didn't pick up after yourself, you didn't do the laundry, you didn't. I haven't seen these two couples argue about stuff like that. When these two couples are talking, they talk about serious things, important things, in terms of for example, Dee and Kutso, they both have kids. When are we introducing each other's kids, to each other? Important things. I love the maturity in their relationships, and I love how well they communicate with one another. And of course, good communication is very important to fostering the feeling of intimacy within a relationship. When the intimacy is good in a relationship, the partners feel safe with one another, feel comfortable with one another, and they just can open up or let the other person in, which then just makes them feel like, I am heard, I am understood, I am seen. And it also makes, the sexual part of the relationship just flow easy. Okay, there's been many situations in episode 4 and 5 where the question of has these marriages been consummated comes up, and both these couples, Sebenzile and Boitsepo, Akuto and Dee, they have both consummated their relationships, and they are both loving the sexual part of these relationships. Like, they can't shut up about it. Okay, whenever the question comes up, she's the first one to put her hand up. She is the first one to answer. Like, listen here, Kuto is doing the things that the man needs to do in the bedroom, and Dee is one happy lady. Boitsepo isn't as loud about it as Dee is, but you can tell also that Boitsepo is one satisfied lady. She has nothing to complain about. She's also happy. The guys as well speak well and fondly of, the consummation of their marriage part of the relationships. Now, the guys don't go into details or bring it up as often as the girls do, which is understandable. And what also adds to this intimacy is the fact that these two couples more or less got what they asked for. When they came into the show, they did fill up some type of form or make a list of what they are looking for in another person, personality-wise, career-wise, and physically, in terms of how the other person must look. Sebenzile said that he's 100% happy with who walked down the aisle to meet him. So he's very happy with Boitsepo physically, aesthetically. He loves everything about her. And regarding Kuto, he's also more or less happy with Dee in physically how she looks. I mean, Dee is so cute, how she looks. He said that normally he likes big nyash, and she doesn't, but he's fine with that. Like, it doesn't matter at this point. So he's happy with what he got. So yeah, those two couples, I'm really, really happy for them, and I'm rooting for them. Like, somebody better take this beyond the experiment, and I hope that one of these two couples, or both of them, are those people who found what they are looking for on the show. Now, let me hop into our youngest couple, Makumo and Tabang, in terms of intimacy, you know, and just in terms of being free and open and safe to just talk to the other person. I don't know, and I'm not sure, you know, the way that they relate to each other is very playful, and it's because they're very similar in personality. So they're always teasing each other, joking with one another. You know, the way they communicate to somebody who doesn't know them, it might come across as a little bit rough, a little bit confrontational, but they seem to understand one another. But the question is, how deep can you go when you communicate like that, where everything is sort of like a joke, sort of like we're playing, you know? Because for intimacy to grow in a relationship, they gotta be able to talk about important things, about serious things, about deep subjects, you know, their past, their families, their aspirations, and stuff like that. An example that makes me doubt how well connected these two are is, at some point Makumo asked Utabang, hey, when am I meeting your family? When are you introducing me to your family? And he seems to change whenever she brought up that question. He doesn't seem his jovial, playful self. He'll be like, you'll hear from me when I'll introduce you to my family. And you can tell that he wants to cut that conversation as quickly as possible and all that jazz. And now in terms of them consummating the relationship, I don't know if these two have consummated the relationship or not. They both have not come out to say they have. It's from what Makumo have said, because the ladies have been asking, women just like to invade your privacy, hey? This question comes a lot when the women are hanging out together, and Makumo tries to be vague. Even production is asking her, have you all consummated the relationship or not? And Makumo has to be vague and deflect and All I can say is, based on what they've said, they're just getting to know each other. They are hugging and kissing and making out, maybe doing some hangy-pangy, I don't know. But for the actual coitus, they have not gone that far. And you know what, to each their own if they have not done it. And even if they've done it and they don't want to say that they've done it, once again, it's their prerogative. If they want to keep it quiet, let them keep it quiet. People shouldn't force them to say whether they've done it or not. It has to be between the two of them. But once again, since these two are just so similar in personalities, I do wish them the best as well. I hope that in terms of communication, they can reach a point where they can just dive deep. They did have a therapy session with one of the therapists on the show, and he also picked up the fact that, hold on, you two seem to get along, but you seem to keep it right here on the surface level, and it kind of looks like when you two are communicating, some way you pass each other. And I like how Tabang conducted himself during that interview with the therapist, or rather that session with the therapist. He was very open and welcoming of the professional viewpoints of the therapist. So yeah, there's room for growth, and it seems like these two, all they need is just time. It seems like these two like each other and they find each other attractive and they're happy with each other and pashash. Now, let me move on to the problem children of the show. I'll just Zitobile and Tammy, they need prayers and they need a lot of therapy sessions, okay? A lot of therapy sessions. Now, intimacy in terms of just communicating your viewpoints and knowing that your partner is gonna get you and understand you. These two just, first things first, these two did not get what they asked for. And they both brought it up on episode 5 that they did not get what they asked for in the other person. When Tammy was talking about it, he seems to talk about it in terms of physicality, how the other person looks like. He said that he was not expecting the girl to be plus size, but in other ways, she seems to be fine. And with Z, Uzitobile, she did not ask for no goddamn traditional man. Tammy is super duper traditional. He is so stubborn and so set in his way. Z is having a very difficult time with Tammy. and that leads them to the sexual intimacy part of the relationship. Have they consummated their relationship? Yes. Apparently they did it the first night they arrived at these apartments. That was the first and only time, and both of them did not enjoy it. And I think the main thing is that number one, Z is not happy with Tammy. You cannot make an unhappy lady enjoy the sexual act, okay? She's not happy with him. I feel like he's so stuck on gender roles, and a woman must do this and a woman must do that, and they also don't communicate very well. From what I've seen on camera, she really tries to tell him what she wants. So far, he is not hearing her. He's not receptive of what she is saying. He seems to have an issue with how emotional she is, but I do feel like she gets frustrated that he's not getting her viewpoint, is not getting where she's coming from. So these two, I think we can learn a lot from as they just embark on this journey of just taking it easy and taking it one step at a time and one item at a time. Both of them need to change for the other. Tammy had a conversation with Mzansi, one of the happy guys, and he was just talking about how harder it is and stuff like that, and he mentioned stuff like, oh my god, it looks like he's going to have to change her. He's gonna have to endeavor to change Z. My guy, you will have to change as well, okay? Because she's not happy with how traditional and patriarchal your viewpoint of marriage is. Now, let me take it back to the sexual intimacy, the bedroom play between these two. Where does one even start? The fact that they're not getting each other in terms of what one requires in the relationship is going to affect how they relate to one another in the bedroom, okay? If the lady feels like her needs outside the bedroom are not met, she's not going to want to do anything for you in the bedroom. That's the one and the first thing that Tammy has to get and to understand. And number two, past experiences matter, okay? Ulokuzan, Uzi is not all that comfortable with men. She's not that comfortable with sexual what. I mean, that is proven by the fact that the longest relationship she's ever had is about 4 months. So like, how comfortable did she get with those guys? How much sex did she get to have with those guys for her to be sexually comfortable in the sexual acts, especially with a brand new guy? Okay, yes, they married, but they just met. Is this 2-3 weeks into the experiment? This is fairly still very new, okay? She does not know this man. And so for somebody with possibly very little sexual experience going into this, to be expected to just jump in and yay, and just go in, it's a little bit unreasonable. I do think they need to just take more time and not focus on the bedroom. But honey, Tammy wants some bedroom play. Hey, he wants some bedroom play, okay? And maybe the other thing that could be affecting Uzi is that maybe she's not all confident in herself. I mean, you're a plus size girly, own it, love it, and just, flaunt it and whatnot. Just be comfortable in it, and that's going to affect how you are in the bedroom. Tammy is not happy. They've only had it once. As I mentioned before, apparently there was another time when he brought it up with Uzitobile, and she was like, take it. And he did not like that, and he did not take it, because it was like, no man, it's like she doesn't want to and she doesn't want to. And on a boys' night out, Tammy is talking too much. Tammy divulges to the guys that Z believes that sex is for the pleasure and gratification of the man, something along those lines. And everybody was shocked, and everybody was like, huh, that's weird. I feel like Tammy is just discussing way too much with the group. Perhaps he should save that for their sessions with the professionals. These two need a session, a one-on-one session with a sex therapist. Speaking of the sex therapist, the ladies on episode 5 had some type of fun activity with the sexologist on the show. And the sexologist was teaching them a couple of things, asking them a couple of questions. And Z was super duper uncomfortable with the whole thing. Like I said, she's not very sexually experienced. So to just talk so openly about sex, for some people, it does not just come naturally. It doesn't seem that easy, especially when you are in the same room with those other three ladies. Dee and Boitsepo are so sexually happy that if you're not sexually happy in your relationship, you will be intimidated by their sex joy. So yeah, man, I feel like that whole group activity, the sexologist should have just made the others speak before Dee spoke. Because Dee, any question, Dee was like, I'm so happy sexually. He satisfies me. Da, da, da. We are happy for you, girl. We're super happy for you, girl. But for the purpose of the one who's not there yet, the sexologist should have just controlled the group dynamic a little bit better. Or afterwards, arrange a session where she could have a one-on-one with Uzi. Z needs a one-on-one session with a sexologist, and then she needs a couple session along with Tammy as well. The group dynamics for her, it's not going to work. So yeah, that's my take, my reaction of this show so far. What is your take on it? And if you have made it this far in this video, please bless me by subscribing. Thank you. Bye.